Welcome to the InfoGov Hot Seat Vodcast, featuring candid interviews with practitioners, consultants, and solution providers on hot topics in the information governance industry. Here's your host, Jim Merrifield.
Well, hello, and welcome to the InfoGov Hot Seat. I'm your host, Jim Merrifield, and with me today is Kurt Thies, Vice President at Gimmal. Welcome, Kurt.
Hi, Jim. How you doing?
Awesome. It's great to see you again, right? It's been so long since we got to catch up. So I just wanted to, put you on the hot seat, ask you some questions, right? So I know you've been in this market for a long time, right? And you've been bouncing around a little bit. I know you're at Access, but now you're in a new role. So I'd like to just ask if you can give us a brief introduction of your role, how
Sure.
long you've been with the company, and one fun fact about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, thanks for having me. I've been with Gimmal now for about 6 months, but my relationship with Gimmal goes back for over a decade. Working with them, actually, when I was at Iron Mountain, we had a partnership. We were doing things with Microsoft and SharePoint. And then when they acquired Infolinks, which is now the Gimmal physical product, I had started working with them while I was at Infolinks. And so now that they own that product, it's sort of a natural fit to bring all those elements together.
Oh, that's awesome. You got to give me, you can't forget. What's the one fun fact about you, Kurt?
Oh,
You
the
got to
fun
tell
fact.
us.
Okay. So I was thinking about this. I started off my career in college working at a law firm. So that's how I got into records management and technology and did a lot of trial work. So so that's the fun fact. And then the fun fact within that, I worked on a lot of trials, and one of the most interesting ones was the rights for the Three Stooges.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you kind of fell into this records management world like the
As
rest
we
of
all
us,
do,
right?
right?
Yeah, of course. So listen, I know ILTACON, right? It was a long time ago, right? 7 months back in the summer. What were your key takeaways from ILTACON,
Sure.
if you can remember?
Well, it's always interesting seeing the technology. I think that, during this phase that we've been through with the pandemic and remote work, law firms surprisingly thrived. And it also has really brought a lot of innovation. So a lot of the things that were initiatives, we've really seen the legal community embrace kind of the use of technology, but changing from paper to digital, the way that attorneys do their job, especially being remote. So kind of the business of law and how technology is used and leveraged. And of course, data privacy, all of the issues being front and center within law firms.
Yeah, no, data privacy is definitely right. A hot topic there, and it's
Yeah.
awesome to talk about this stuff, right? Especially at ILTACON. So let's talk about your team, right? I know you haven't been at Gimmal for that long, but you've been um, you've known Gimmal for a while, but you've been with your team for a short period of time, right? But what's the makeup of your internal team focused on governance software?
Yeah. So the interesting thing at Gimmal is it does have a long heritage of uh, consulting and experience with information governance. So we have a lot of what I'll call bench strength with IG and records management. And we have three main product groups. So we have the physical records, which is my kind of background in role within the business. And then we have what's called records, which is applying governance to electronic records. So it's a manage in place kind of paradigm. And then we have a discover tool that interrogates data and then helps identify PII, rot, things to place on hold, and then brings them into that compliant environment.
Oh, that's cool. So you actually have a PII tool in your records management product.
Yeah. And so we're kind of trying to, we're a software company, but we're providing tools to solve this problem around information governance and kind of create that landscape. And then we also have very much a connector partner philosophy. So we're not trying to be the one system. We're trying to connect into that solution ecosystem.
Okay, got it, got it. But let's talk a little bit about like the internal team, right? So do you have like a team of developers that are actually focused on like enhancements and features and that sort of thing?
Yeah, yeah. We actually have, that's sort of the core of the business. So we have development, product management, implementation, customer success. So really the whole gamut of what it takes to solve customer problems, deliver and maintain a solution. And I think, going back to physical records, certainly, things are going electronic, but you have to get a handle around your physical for your complete program. So we're actually very active in the physical record space and modernizing and connecting that to the rest of the landscape.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I mean that. Listen, physical records. I don't think you go to any law firm, right? Physical records are still a big part of the business, right?
That's
For
right.
sure. So as far as software, what would you? I know you know the competition and what's out there, especially related to the legal market. What would you say is your key differentiator versus the competition? What would you
Sure.
say to that?
So I think, as we just mentioned, it's the experience in helping to implement a solution. So the software is a tool, and we have commercial grade products. So they're mature, they're feature rich, but how we then help the customer leverage them in their environment. So we have a team that's very experienced on how you implement and deploy them. And then we have, our history in information governance. So we're really trying to make this part of the journey and the maturity of your records and information governance program and give you the capabilities that requires.
Oh no, well said. Well said. No, that's awesome. So let's talk about features and products, right? We got Legal Week coming up, right, in a couple months. I'm sure,
Yeah.
like most, legal vendors, right? You're cooking up something special for us in the legal community. What product features, without giving it away, is your team focused on right now? Like, what are you seeing that your clients are asking for?
Yeah. And I think we have a pretty specific answer to that. So that ties the pieces together. So first, there's data minimization, which ties back to what we're talking about with privacy. So you have to know what you have. Our systems do that. Physical is pretty straightforward. You're managing, it's an operational tool for that business process. Electronic, you need to know where that data resides, in what systems. And then what we're doing is applying the governance. So the retention schedule, so it can be managed, and you have a defensible disposition process. So the common element of our systems is allowing you to apply your retention and execute on that plan. So disposing of physical, which is a very particular process, and then doing the same thing with the electronic records.
Okay. Interesting. So you have like a workflow kind of built in for
That's right.
disposition. Awesome. So do you tie into like the like in the legal world, right? There's a couple document management system vendors like iManage, NetDocuments, and even some open text eDocs customers, and also SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. Do you tie into those repositories and like apply retention policies on the electronic content?
That's right. So we don't have a repository. We're not an ECM. So
Mhm.
we're taking this and applying to existing repositories. So, SharePoint kind of being one of the common elements. You have SharePoint, and then what else do you have, whether it's share drives or other systems. So we're kind of creating that ubiquitous layer that consistently applies your governance to those systems.
Very good. I like that word, ubiquitous. I'm not going to ask you to define it, you know, but no, that's great. So you're like kind of the layer on top, right? That where the
That's right.
magic, you make the magic happen. I
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the future, right? I mean, and there's no wrong answer, right? I mean, people, I think, I live in the Northeast, right? The weatherman can't even predict the future, right? What the weather is going to be like today, right? I mean, it's 50 degrees today. But, future state of records management software, next 3 years. Do
Yeah.
you see things changing? Do you see things staying the same? What's Kurt's vision?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, limiting it to 3 years out is helpful, because I would say that um, the acceleration of what's in motion now um, is going to really amplify over the next 3 years. The tools using AI and data classification and so forth, but the emphasis for privacy, I think, is really going to be pervasive, and everyone's going to be looking to get their arms around that. And data minimization. Why do we have this information? Where do we keep it? And how do we get rid of it? Is now going to change the landscape and kind of create a context for information governance and records management. So it's a different kind of responsibility of sort of justifying, why do we have this? And once we no longer have a reason to have it, let's make sure that we have a way to dispose of it.
No, that makes a ton of sense, right? Especially with the privacy laws, right? It used to be, most firms or, most corporations, right? You kept everything forever, right? So
Yeah.
no one really cared if you had if the product that you had a workflow, right, for disposition, because nobody did it. But now, right, with these privacy regulations, you kind of have to get rid of data, right?
That's exactly right. And just the proliferation of the data, which we've all talked about, it's overwhelming. But now adding the responsibility to that data, and I think there's a lot more awareness of the risk factor, whether it's breaches, whether it's having PII that is exposed. So adding that responsibility to that information.
No, that makes perfect sense. So I'm sure you'll be at Legal Week, right, in New York. What is it, like in March, I think, this year, which I think is better than February, right? Because
Yeah.
snowstorms come, at that Hilton. But looking forward to seeing you in person, and thanks so much. I know this is a quick hot seat edition, right? A few questions. I want you to come back and feel comfortable. But Kurt, thanks so much for taking the
Yeah,
time.
my pleasure. It's always good speaking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you everyone for attending today's episode of the InfoGov Hot Seat. Of course, please visit our website, infogovhotseat.com, to view our latest episodes. And also, if you'd like to be a guest on the InfoGov Hot Seat, like Kurt here, please submit your information through our website. We promise that we'll be nice. And thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the InfoGov Hot Seat. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and LinkedIn. Check out our main website at infogovhotseat.com to view our latest episodes and much more.